Oh, yeah, really? That's awesome. Something dry would be great.
It's amazing to have you back with us here at MCM Comic Con. How's the weekend been going? How's everyone treating you out?
Everyone is amazing. Everyone is so wonderful. It's been such a wonderful weekend. Yeah, this has been a great experience. Everyone's bending over backwards, actually, for me, which is kind of nice.
I mean, in terms of the sights of Comic Con, there's obviously a lot of interesting things to see here.
Yes.
Anything stood out?
Well, I got a Wendy plush thing, Wendy, which there isn't a lot of Wendy stuff where I live. So they told me, they said, there's a Wendy doll. It's like this big with the big Wendy head. So I got that, and I have my daughter here with me who's 10, and she's really into squishies, the squishy things that like rise like dough. So she's been at that booth getting squishies.
You were part of the Twisted Toons show. If you had been in charge of picking which characters you'd get to voice, would you have made any difference?
You know, we had talked about it, and so many of my video game characters aren't, like, some of them just sound like me, or some of them sound like me with a British dialect, and there aren't a lot of video game characters that have a really, like, unique voice. So we were talking about it, and I said, you know, like, if I did like the PC human female, you know, in Guild Wars, or, you know, Petravenge, you know, from Destiny, it probably wouldn't be terribly interesting to people. I figured South Park is the most cartoony, so we just decided to go with that. That was, yeah.
So have there been any time you felt that Matt Stone and Trey Parker have crossed the line?
I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. I wouldn't say cross the line in the sense that when I took the role, or the roles, I knew right off the bat, like, no one's safe, and you can't get offended. No matter what they go after, you got to be on board. But I was telling somebody that there are a few times. There was one particular time, the woodland. Yeah. See, what happens is when I go in to record, I don't get a full script. I get just bylines. So I can go in and record, and my characters may be involved in like the A storyline, and I may not be involved in the B storyline. So, and then I watch it on Wednesday night with the rest of the country, and so I sometimes am surprised by things, or I was like, oh, I had no idea that was going to happen. And there are times that I've had to call my mom and just say, don't watch, don't do it, turn it off. And that was one. I had no idea about some of the stuff that was coming up on that. And you could definitely hear me, you know, from the bedroom going, oh. So that was probably the one where I thought, wow, we did that. That's interesting. And then the other one was the episode where Randy played, he was on Wheel of Fortune, and that was that was one. And there's actually a kind of interesting story about that. So the A storyline was when Randy played the Wheel of Fortune, and the N-word was involved, and then the B storyline was about the little people, big world, you know, with the little, you know, the little is a family of little people, and in the script they had the N-word, actual, and they had the word midget, which is, you know, you don't use that. That's offensive, and they sent it out for, you know, them to say, okay, you can use this, you can say that, you can't say that, and they sent it back and they said, okay, you can say the N-word, but you can't say midget. It's like, what? Are you kidding? So that was kind of surprising to me. I thought, wow, okay. So that was kind of an uncomfortable episode for me. You know, I let them do what they do, and everyone seems to take it well, but there are certain things where it's like, wow, I'm glad I didn't have that line, you know. But so I say those two. Otherwise, it is what it is.
There's a big debate going on about lines in the sand when it comes to comedy, and the right to cause offense. On a show that is known and celebrated for being right on the bleeding edge of that at times, how you feel fundamentally about that issue?
If at the end of every episode there wasn't a really incredible message, I would have a problem with it. If it was just us being offensive, just for the sake of being offensive to shock people, then I wouldn't be happy with that. But it seems that, like I always tell people, if they're not into the show, I always say, if you can see your way through that to get to the end, there's always something really great that they have to say about it. So that's the way I look at it, is you can be offended through it, and there are times that I watch it and think, how are they going to get out of this? Or how are they going to button this up in a way that makes what we just did okay? And they always do. So that works for me.
With voicing so many of the South Park characters, and a lot of them within the same family, how do you handle almost having a conversation with yourself?
When we record, I record one character at a time. So when I go down it's not like I record the scripts talking to myself, except for when I record for the video game. Then there are times that I'm just switching back and forth. So that makes it easier. And the characters' voices are so set that we know, like, it's going to be okay that, Shelley and Sharon are in the same scene. There are times that are really heavy in little girls, and they'll bring other people in just because it's like, okay, April's 4 people and she's talking to herself, having a powwow with herself, and that's just too much. So that's kind of how they handle it. But yeah, they let me record all the characters separately, so that works.
As a woman, I think particularly to have Wendy in South Park is really nice, because it gives you that character that you can relate to.
Yeah.
What kind of response have you had from female fans this weekend?
They love her. I just met someone who was cosplaying as Wendy, which I loved. They love her. I mean, she's, of all the characters, that's the one that people relate to. She kicked Cartman's ass, so that is probably, people, I mean, so many people come up to me and say, that was so awesome, but she's the voice of reason. And so I would say most women really love Wendy and love what she has to say, and are happy when she's in a storyline.
I think we can give this, we have to let you go.
All right, sounds good.